In Peaky Blinders, The Immortal Man, we see Britain threatened with a Nazi plot to crash the economy with an injection of counterfeit cash. But did you know that the story is absolutely true? Okay, Tommy Shelby wasn't on hand to sort it out, but if you settle in, we'll tell you the real-life story of the Nazi banknotes that almost changed the course of history.
Germany, January 1943. 142 Jewish prisoners, all with professional backgrounds in engraving, printing and banking, were gathered in Sachsenhausen camp near Berlin and set an unusual task: perfectly duplicate British banknotes and produce the currency in vast amounts. Overnight, craftsmen had become counterfeiters, but little did they know that their work in that handful of camp huts was part of an ambitious military operation to cripple the UK, or how those notes would impact the British economy for decades to come.
I need to know that you are willing to take part in an act of treason that will decide this war for Germany.
To understand the story of the Nazi banknotes, you have to look beyond the men and machines clashing across land, air and sea, as blitzkrieg bombs bruised the British people, wiping out communities like the workers at Birmingham's small arms factory. German leadership was secretly aiming their sights at invisible fault lines: economic warfare. Just as debt and post-war reparations crushed the German mark, they sought to devalue the British pound by flooding the economy with bogus currency. The plan's unwieldy name spelled it out: offensive against sterling and destruction of its position as world currency. The first attempt at the plan, Operation Andreas, faced many challenges. Printing plates had to be crafted, cotton rag paper had to be duplicated, even the German water used to wash notes needed chemically altering to match the acidity of British H2O. Progress slowed, confidence waned, and the project halted until 1942, when Major Friedrich Bernhard Kruger decided to draw on Jewish experts to assemble his team in Sachsenhausen. It would become known as the Devil's Workshop. While a British banknote may look simple, it was considered the gold standard in anti-counterfeit measures. Not only does each note have a distinct serial number and watermarks, but it hides 150 security details, microscopic blemishes and quirks that only the real thing would get right. Britannia, drawn there in the top left corner, is so riddled with deliberate defects that prisoners nicknamed her Bloody Britannia in frustration at matching the details. Intriguingly, Birmingham, home to the Peaky Blinders, played a tiny part in the fakery. The forged serial numbers were ripped from banks in Birmingham, Bristol and Leeds. Bigger city branches had their own serial codes that were less closely policed than the central London bank. Operation Bernhard's work was thorough. As we see in The Immortal Man, finished notes were passed through 50 pairs of dirty hands, rubbing and folding them to fake the wear and tear of circulated notes. They even inserted higher denomination notes into money clips to create the indentations you'd expect to find from sitting in a banker's stuffed pocket. When they eventually saw the notes, MI5 were in awe of what the forgers had achieved. As declassified files revealed in 2012, it is impossible for anyone other than a specially trained expert to detect the difference between them and genuine notes. Phase 2 was spreading the money. One plan was to airdrop cash over Britain to pollute the economy. This didn't happen. Instead, agents working for Germany, such as Tim Roth's Beckett, laundered the money, exchanging fake cash for genuine Swiss francs and US dollars, or used it to buy black market weapons. While agents like Beckett did smuggle some currency directly into Britain, the bigger threat was actually Allied soldiers returning after D-Day in June 1944. They'd sell army goods on the French black market, not realising they'd lined their pockets with phony pounds. By the end of the war, an estimated 15 million was in circulation. That this didn't sink the British economy was largely due to one vigilant bank clerk in Morocco, who detected a reused serial number in 1943. The major flaw in the forgeries was the reliance on pre-existing numbers pulled from regional banks, and it was enough to alarm the Bank of England. That year, the bank recalled all 10, 20 and £50 notes from circulation, a massive disruption that would take another 40 years to fix. £10 notes didn't return until 1964, and the £50 note was out of action until 1981. While the economy survived, there's no denying that Operation Bernhard was a success. As MI5 wrote at the time, in general, it can be said that the German objective of destroying confidence abroad in Bank of England notes has been achieved. As for the prisoners at Sachsenhausen, as Allied forces closed in on the camp, the counterfeiters were transported to Austria, where they were liberated before their Nazi captors could cover up their crimes. The remaining notes and printing presses were dumped in Lake Toplitz, where they have been gradually excavated over the last 80 years. The printing plates and surviving notes can be found in museums all over the world. Incredibly, when Sachsenhausen was evacuated in April 1945, the printing presses had produced almost 9 million banknotes with a total value of 134 million, the equivalent of 10% of all pound sterling in circulation at the time. Some estimate up to 300 million was produced, a hint at how close the currency came to total devastation.
While Britain survived this economic warfare, its scars were felt for some time. It would take 20 years before £10 notes were reintroduced by the Bank of England. One official described the fake money as the most dangerous I've ever seen. If not for one eagle-eyed bank clerk, the war could have ended very differently. I hope his mates bought him a pint. With real money, of course.